Welcome to the Art Lady channel. Today we're going to be doing a technique like spatter painting to represent cherry blossoms in a tree. And I will show you how to create the branches and then we'll work on the spatter painting. Cherry blossom. What I'm going to do, a base coat of light blue. So I'm going to go into my water and I'm going to go into the turquoise, and that's the turquoise. And I'm just going to give some wisps of mostly water. Yeah, mostly water and a little bit of turquoise. And I'm going back and forth, and I just want to fill in now with just water. See where anything like this, just water to connect everything together. And this will give like whispers of just sky clouds back here. And go back and forth so there's no puddles. You don't want any puddles. And this should be just quick. It's not nothing picky. You don't need to be picky. It's just a quick base coat of almost no color. Just a wisp of blue. Because that's the sky. You don't want dark in your sky. So if you notice, it only took a few seconds. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash the brush, and we'll get some green at the bottom here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the bottom. Now I didn't need to paint all this. You know, you leave some at the bottom that's white. Now what I'm going to do is just do some green. So I'm loading up with green, and I'm going from my side to side. And I don't want it to be a perfect straight line. It's going to come across horizontal, but you can see how it swoops down a little bit. And I'm just going to fill that in with lots of water. And you can even wash your brush really good and go into some yellow if you want. So you can make yellow plus green. So yellow plus green is?
Yellow green.
Excellent. Wow, good job, guys. So I'm just adding some of this yellow-green color now, so it's a little layered. And it doesn't have to be colored every spot. Just get as much done as you can within a few seconds. We don't have to be picky with that. So you want your green, if you notice, if I measure a scale with intensity, this is a lot brighter than my sky. You can see that. That way the sky's in the background and the green is in the foreground, the front. So for intensity value, this is a lot more intense than the sky. Now we're just going to start forming our standard tree. So I'm going to do just a few little, and you can put it wherever you want. It could be off center. Say this is your middle here. It could be off center a little bit. It's up to you. And I'm going to go into some brown. And I'm using a wider brush, a flat wide brush. Decide where you want to put your tree. Mine's off center a little bit over here. And I'm going to come up straight. So it's almost like a number 1. And then I'm going to flare out at the bottom. So the bottom's just going to get a little bit wider here on both sides. So it's probably the width, a little bit wider than the width of my brush. And then this is the trunk right here of the tree. You want it to just blend in. And from here, we're gonna just make a standard tree with some angled branches coming off. So we're gonna come up, you can come up. And as I come up, I'm just I'm loading up my brush and letting the hairs drag behind. And then I'm going to branch off. It's going to be almost like a Y or a V. Now you can see I'm coming to the top of my page now as I branch. You can see here in the trees that where they branch, they form the Y and the V sections. And as I branch, I'm getting thinner and thinner in that diagonal. Here's some trees, and you can see how they naturally get thinner as they reach the tips. gonna go on the same side, on the other side, and I'm gonna branch this way as well to make a Y. And as it reaches the trunk, I'm just gonna connect it to the trunk a little bit wider here. So that's a standard Y-shaped tree. Now we don't need lots and lots of branches because we're going to fill it with their cherry blossoms. You could put another branch if you want lower down here, a little bit smaller. Again, when it meets the tree, it's a little bit wider as it connects to the tree. And you can add a few little branches off of that. And I'm just using the tip of my brush. It's not real watery. I'm just adding, coming up. And I'll add a little branch here. You can add a few little stems. I kind of just flick them. I do it on both sides. Branching the tip, touch the branch, just pull off. The tips have real small branches. So if you notice, it goes from thicker to thinner to very, very thin at the end. Now I'm going to pull it up so you can see all the full. Okay, so there's the full view. And if you want to put some more branches, oops, I picked it up on the wrong end. And I want this to be elongate, pretty elongated. So I'm going to have this just come over a little bit longer. Have some branches coming up, and I just kind of barely hit the paper with this. Just barely hit the paper. And I'm using the side of my thin brush. Put a few little ones on this side. Maybe a bigger branch here. So it's how you want to branch out. It's really tiny. Now I'm not recharging my brush with any more paint. I'm just letting it fade out now. See, as I just let it fade out. So it's very light. I'll put a few little branches here. Oops. Because these will just be in the background. Now what I'm going to do is load up with some of the magentas, cerise color. We have this magenta-y, this is about a cerise right here. Some cerise we have some magentas. Basically red violets and values of pink. And I'm going to load up with my water, and then in this area, so it's a watery color, I'm going to hold my brush near the end here. Okay, so I don't want to hold it near the hairs of the brush. I'm here more on the other side, and I'm about 6 to 8 inches above, see, with the brush. And then I just simply tap. And I want to tap just where the branches are. And I'm going to use some, if you pull off some white, you can mix some white with this too, to have it lighter value. So I'm doing some darker value first. And if you hold it, pinch this good, and do a good whack on this end, you're going to get these beautiful little specks. Now I'm going to wash my brush really, 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 really good, because we don't want that white contaminated. And we're using tempera cakes today, my class, see? These little, that's all right. If it fell down, that just means that the cherry blossoms fell off the tree. Some of my students said theirs came down here. I'll show you a photo of my yard, because I've got tulip trees blooming right now, or trumpet trees actually, they're called. Yeah. And it's little tiny beautiful flowers that look like trumpets, but they're all over the ground. It's beautiful, and all over my roof. I'll show you, I'll put a picture up. Right now so you can see it. It's all over the leaves. This is covered with the beautiful blossoms of the tree. So yeah, the cherry blossoms fall down, so don't worry if they're on the ground here, but try and focus it up in the tree. So I just went into my white. Now I'm going to barely hit my magenta color. So now I have a mixture of this lighter pink, light pink. And get it concentrated, because these, in some areas, you don't want it to be real sparse, because if you look at the cherry blossoms, and I'll put a picture up, it's a solid cloud of beautiful light pink. You don't really see the bark at all through this. And if you do dirty the white, look at how I got mine dirty. I think it's almost impossible not to. We'll just clean this at the end of class, because we need that beautiful light pink. So don't worry about dirtying that. And I'm doing a high concentration of that. And I'm just adding more water now to this, right here in my tempera. Because that's what the focus is, the beautiful blossoms on the tree. And in the winter time, the cherry tree loses its leaves. So basically you just see all you see is the beautiful blossoms on that tree. So I'm focusing on the branch area, but if it gets over here, it doesn't really matter too much. Just lightly tap, and by doing it this way, you're not going to get it all over your desk. It's just going to concentrate in that picture area. And you want most of those branches hidden. Just keep on layering it. Keep on layering it like that. And I have to keep on wetting. I added a little bit more dark. And build it up this way. And you'll get different values now. You'll have all the values of pink and light pink and now I'm going to continue this way, and then I will show you what it looks like when it's done. And here we have the finished picture. Now, of course, if you want to add a little bit of spring things down at the bottom, you can too. Add other bushes, or even more trees, rows of trees. A lot of times they plant these trees in groupings, or like little mini alleyways where you can walk between all the trees. So you could do a whole row of them back in here even, and have the meadow and all the beautiful wildflowers in the meadow if you want. But there's how we can make our simple little beautiful Japanese cherry blossom tree. Now I'm going to show you what my kids did today.